Hey guys, I'm here with Toren, and we got a new property that we're going to dissect, we're going to go over, and basically what we're going to do is talk about some pre-rut and rut hunting spots scenarios. So this is a brand new property. Toren, you ever been here before?
I've never been here.
Okay, so I'm going to get on OnX. I'm going to show you guys some points of reference that I look for. I haven't even looked at this on the map. So Allie, that's social media with service side here. This is actually her property, and she gave us the opportunity to do this. But what we want to do is make this a learning opportunity for you and teach you how we would break down, critically think a spot, and then set up for different scenarios. So you're gonna get my input, you're gonna get Toren's input, and we're gonna teach you some stuff about selecting pre-rut and rut hunting locations. Okay, so I'm gonna fire up my OnX. They got a 3D beta, that's new. So as you can see, it's taking a minute to load up. That's something to consider if you have a remote location that you want to make sure that you have the maps loaded if there's no cell phone signal. So here we can see the boundaries of the property where we're at. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to look at here is that we have this creek here. So that's going to be a great drainage for deer to move, to access, to be hidden. So I'm going to put a couple points of references here, and then we're going to go check out these spots. Bending up in through here. You know, like if you go in there, you're going to like disturb. I got a couple points of interest here. In the back corner of this property, I'm not even sure what this triangle is, but this looks like a good remote spot for deer to bed. Looking at the actual terrain, it's kind of over a hill, so I want to check that out. And then we're gonna probably walk this creek river bottom, and then just see what kind of sign we see what kind of food crop, see what kind of bedding, things like that. So there's a couple points of interest. We want to get in, get out as quick as possible, and just take as many notes as we can. That when we come back to hunt, that it's not too disturbed. Okay, so we've identified a pretty good rut spot, and what I mean by that is pre-rut rut where bucks are cruising, they're seeking for doe, they're looking to find a hot doe to breed. At this particular spot, we're at a corner in the field. There's a low spot, so you could potentially have a deer working this edge around the field coming in. There's a low spot with this gully coming up through here where it's easy to access across this creek. So the creek in person is not very deep. It's something that's very easy for a deer to cross and without any effort. You have to take that into consideration. If you have a really deep creek, you're not going to always have deer wanting to cross that unless they're pressured. So at this particular spot, we're looking, it almost looks like a deer trail, but upon further inspection, it looks like a two-track four-wheeler or something else was driving down through here at one point. But on the bank coming in, there was no real good sign. So when you find steep terrain like banks, you're going to see when there's trails coming up, they're gonna really wear it into the ground, because just from a heavy deer walking up, they're gonna erode the earth. This is a nice path of least resistance where you can set up on the inside corner, which had marked on OnX, and potentially have a deer come into this little bit of a funnel. So if you set yourself up somewhere in the middle here with some shooting lanes, you could shoot out 30 yards into the field. You could shoot down to the creek bottom, which is the property line. So you don't want to be too close that you're tempted to shoot across it. Let the deer come in and then take your shot. So we're going to continue up through, and we're going to check out where this potential bedding area is and figure out how we can hunt that. We're going to be looking for food sources. Right here is maple trees, so this is no nutrition at all. And that's where we got Toren here to help identify some of the food stuff as well. Okay, so this is, like I said, a really good highway for pre-rut rut, okay? You got to pick up on the little signs. So like right here is a rub, and Toren, you said this is freshened up a little bit?
Yeah, that's from this year.
So you can see it's scarred, okay, and it's turning gray, and then you can see where it's fresher. If you notice, I never try to touch anything in the whitetail woods, because the oils in your hands and things like that, like I just don't want to disturb that. Now, come over here. This is something that it takes a little bit of skill just from being in the woods to see these kind of things, but you'll actually see this was a scrape, okay? And the reason I know that this was a scrape at one time is because if you come over here to this branch, you can actually see where this was twisted off, the deer were licking. So you can't always just go by what the bare earth says, but this right here, okay? So if you're into scents, which I'm not really too much into that, but if you wanted to make a mock scrape, this is a perfect spot to put a little bit of gland lure. You could just pee in it. A lot of guys swear by that. I personally don't do that. And then put a trail camera up and see what kind of deer are working this area, and you're gonna probably get the scrape hot again. So, but that's something to look for, is broken branches or twisted up branches where they were licking, and then where they were actually made their scrape. Okay, we're on the backside of Allison's farm here, and we've located what we call a thermal hub. So we got a crop field over here to the left. Just above me, there's a really good clover field, so we got some good food sources. But these drainages, this is a good spot for a buck to come and look for a doe. So you can see it's pretty thick here compared to where we started scouting on the property. And I want to show you a stand here in a minute that I don't like the placement of it, but if a buck's going to come into this area, he's going to want to be able to smell what's going on so we can locate a doe that's possibly hot. He can also get a smell of any predators or things in that area. So down in this little bowl, it's a great little hub. So if I was going to select a tree stand location, you know, this spot like this tree right here, we got a nice oak tree. We can get up in there, have some cover with the branches, and get above there. That way our scent's not pulling down into this location, and it's easy access from the field edge. Now, just above me here, if you want to turn around, you can see there's a ladder stand right in the middle of this bowl. It doesn't have very good cover around it, and one of the issues is if a deer, first off, doesn't see you, your scent's going to start to pull down into this basin, and they're going to get your wind. So, because it's not very high, it's just a ladder stand. I would recommend trying to get up a little bit higher and staying out of the thermal hub, but being in a location that you can get a shot. And that's gonna be the most difficult part. It's very thick. So you're gonna have to bring your pruning saw and plan to do some trimming if you're gonna hunt a spot like this. So never overlook asking the farmer. Just because you got permission doesn't mean you should just go run and run into the woods. Like, don't be afraid to ask them for some intel. I mean, they live there, they work there. The deer, they get used to them. They get used to what the sounds are on the farm. They get used to the smell of the farmer. Because like in this situation, he hasn't hunted. So he gave us some intel and said that he's seen deer around this retention pond. And as we come over, you can see there's actually a nice dip in the terrain here. So a deer, a doe, a buck, whatever it is, they're gonna feel more comfortable to step out, and they can see the surroundings, they can get some smells before they step out into the open. So when you see little terrain features like this and little dips, it's a really good spot to key in. And don't forget, like I said, to talk to the farmer or the property owner and get some intel. Don't be afraid to ask those questions.